Yo, what's good? Y'all can tell I've been playing with this software. I ain't never used a countdown before in life. I was like, man, let me check out some of these features of this software to see if they any good. Yo, I appreciate everybody for tuning into this video. Tonight we got a couple of topics that we got to talk about, we got to discuss. Hey, as always, we try to keep it tied to the finances, but there's a little bit of finances, a little bit of current events, and I'm just gonna give y'all my take and opinion, and more importantly, get feedback from y'all so we can find out what y'all thoughts and opinions are on things. If you're new to the channel, hey, why don't you go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel first and foremost. I'm Marcus, and you're at the channel The Debt Free Dad, where we're talking finances, attorney reactions, and current events. Sometimes we try to keep it semi infotainment purposes. Sometimes it could get a little crazy, not completely wild, but it could get a little wild, but it's still early. It's not 10 o'clock yet, so these is definitely the PG hours. So we're going to keep everything on the up and up for the most part. Hey, as always, I got to give the disclaimer. I'm a licensed attorney, but I'm not y'all attorney, so this isn't legal or financial advice. Never listen solely to a talking head on YouTube. It's particularly any form of social medias, because a lot of finessing been going on. So if y'all need any real legit advice, check out a professional in your area. Only use YouTube as a resource, not as a foundational point to launch off and do something that's going to get you got or potentially give you some exposure. I gave that disclaimer to keep the folks at the Bar Association happy. Now, we're going to keep this video short because it's movie night in the DFD's household. Yo, movie nights is one of my favorite nights in general, but man, it's hard to come by. I was looking at some old pictures when we stayed in a really small place and the kids was young. And like, yo, in hindsight, those were the dopest times because we were like all together. Everybody was close. Like, it wasn't uncommon for every Friday night we just on the couch just watching something or lollygagging around or playing the game. Now, man, when the kids get older, when your place get bigger, everybody is off somewhere. The dog over there, my daughter over there, my wife over there. I'm here, my son, I don't know where the hell he at. So this is one of the rare moments where, hey, we found a movie that everybody can agree to watch. It's mostly my son. He's the problem. Everybody else, my daughter, she'll be on board. Wife will even be on board. My son, he's a problem. But we got something that everybody's going to tune in. So it's definitely movie night at DFD's household. I mean, we eating junk. We eating mozzarella sticks and all sorts of nonsense. It's probably not good for you, but hey, it's movie night. We can make an exception. Now, let's jump into our first story that we got to rap about and talk about. Now, we got to talk about Jay-Z, okay? Everybody know who Jay-Z is. If I got to explain who Jay-Z is or you don't know, like, one, you must have been living in a cave. You must have been living in a cave or something. Like, even like, I used to frequently have to travel for nursing homes to nursing homes for work, and people 80 years old, they'd be like, "Oh, that Jay Z." So if you don't know who Jay Z is, I'm not even going to explain it. It should be self-explanatory. But we got to talk about Jay Z and him not selling his masters. And this is interesting because it ties into something that we preached about or is preached about often, especially in the Black social media society, and it's about ownership. Okay. And generally, I think as a general rule, everybody would agree that ownership is something that's good. You know what I mean? You want to have your own, you want to have those assets. So I think everybody will generally agree that ownership is something that's generally good. But there's a caveat to that. And some people have different opinions. Like, there's some people who don't think that a primary home is an asset. They look at it as a liability. If y'all have been watching this channel for a while, I definitely think it's an asset. I actually broke down the numbers from the time I purchased my home in 2018 to current. And if I were to rent a place that was equal to my home during that time, man, I would have been out so much money. So it definitely has its benefits. I tend to see it as an asset myself. And let's just keep it a buck. Statistically, for the average person, we're not talking about the rare 1 or 2%. For the average person, your 401k and home ownership are the largest things in your portfolio that is going to get you to achieve wealth, financial freedom, first generation millionaire status, and all of that stuff. But people have different thoughts on ownership. You got the Dame Dash approach, like I ain't working for nobody. I'm gonna be my own boss, even if these businesses aren't making me money. And you got the other side where, like, hey, I'm gonna be an owner, but I'm going to use my ownership selectively. I want to own certain things, but in other assets or in other instances, it may be more advantageous from a business perspective to serve as an employer of an organization, of a company, so that I can spin that off into my next venture. So we definitely got to talk about it. Jay-Z did an interview, and let me go ahead and cue up the article just so we can take a look. Jay Z did an interview, and in this interview, Jay Z said he will never sell his masters because it was the fight of his life. Now, hey, I'm not even going to read the article because I think I can go ahead and ad lib on this one because it's really self explanatory. During this interview, Jay Z was asked if he would ever sell his masters because there's a rising trend of people in the hip hop industry who've sold or selling their masters. Now, one of the things we got to understand is because you can sell your publishing and your masters. Those are two different things. So here's a legal breakdown for y'all. Okay. Masters is the original sound recording. Okay. So that's the music, the voice. Publishing rights refer to the rights of the music composition, the words, the actual music. So the masters is the sound recording of what you hear. Okay, I hear this song. That essentially is when someone's selling their masters. Publishing is the rights to the music composition, the words, the music. So when you have someone who, I guess the easiest way to explain this is if I sample someone's song and I use it, but I change the bass line, the 808 drums, or I change or alter something, that's probably a publishing issue. That's a publishing issue because I got the rights to that music composition. Whereas the masters is the actual audio recording of the entire product. So now that we know that's out the way, like I was saying, there has been a trend in hip hop artists selling their masters. Let's go ahead and go to a list. I got a list. Dr. Dre, Future, Metro Boomin, Chuck D, Iggy Azalea, The Dream, Timberland, Lil Wayne, and Young Money. In addition, Justin Timberlake and Irv Gotti sold their song catalogs and masters for more than 100 and 300 million, respectively. So, hey, we got to talk about this, okay? Because when I went to the comments associated with this article where Hove was like, I'm never selling my masters, all I saw, I would say 80% of the discussions were, yeah, Hove, ownership, artists always selling their masters. They should keep their masters. Why everybody always call me when they know I'm in production? Yes, ma'am. What? What's up? Then she hung up the phone. Man, my daughter wilding. Then she gonna call me back. That girl crazy. All right. So, like I said, all of the comments, probably 80% of them were like, artists should always keep their masters. It's something to pass to their family. And it in my head, I thought, like, I don't know. Yeah, y'all buying into this ownership thing a little bit too much. Now, I know y'all probably saying, what, DFD, you don't support ownership? Of course, ownership is great, but let's just put this into context, okay? Of this list we got, I can look at this list right now, and I can think of people on this list who y'all should probably sell y'all masters. Future, Metro Boomin, Chuck D, Iggy Azalea, The Dream. Y'all should probably sell y'all masters. Well, why you think that those artists should? Girl, I'm in production. What's up? Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll order everything. Let me wrap this up. Later. All right, see, they all ready for movie night now. So now I got to get food, but that's a whole nother story. But why would you say DFD? Those guys should consider selling their masters, but not Jay Z. I can understand and wrap my head around someone like Jay Z not selling their masters because of the fact that 70, 80-year old, my father's 73, and he's familiar with Jay Z. I don't know if he could quote a song, maybe one or two. I doubt it. I don't know. I'm gonna call him and ask him. I can't call him now; he's asleep. But I'm gonna ask him if he can quote it. But at least he knows who Jay Z is. Jay Z is an icon in the music and business industry. So his work product, his master, has a certain longevity that a lot of those artists aren't gonna have. Like I'm telling you right now, like let's be honest. In 20 years from now, 15 years from now, are people going to be listening to Future's first album? And hey, Future first album, hey, fire. Future got a couple albums. He got more than a couple albums, tracks that, hey, fire. But 10, 15, 20 years from now, it might be in Future Hendrix's best interest to sell those masters for the value that they're worth right now because he can use that money to acquire more assets through investing or in property or whatever it is that he wants to invest in. Plus, it secures them. I mean, you sell your masters for $100 million. Hey, you got to be damn near. I'm not gonna say a buffoon, but you got to be out of your mind to blow that bag, especially when you're not in the first 5 years of your career. You got a little bit of experience under your belt. So when we talking hip hop, people who could probably never sell their masters and it would financially make sense would be somebody like a Jay-Z, a Dr. Dre who sold his, a Sean Carter, no, Sean Combs, P. Diddy who sold his. Um, Mostly I think it applies to those people who are in production, those people who aren't just artists but they actually create music, they produce other artists. I think those are the people who it probably would be advantageous for them to actually hold on to their masters just because they have a much larger brand that can potentially demand more income by holding on to those masters. Jay Z's rationale really wasn't even a monetary reason to hold on to his masters. His masters and him attaining his masters, he said, was the hardest fight he ever had. Started a company, him, Kareem Biggs, Burt, Dame Dash, started a record label. It blew up. They were young. They knew some of the ins and out. They transitioned over to Def Jam. His masters are essentially become the custody of Def Jam Records. Now Def Jam has his masters, but as he's gaining more knowledge in the industry, knowing more about the legal nuances, the contracts, he was like, damn, you know what? I got to get these masters back. And in order for Jay Z to finally get his masters back, it wasn't really a court battle. He had to use what he built as an artist to become the president of Def Jam. And in his contract as the president of Def Jam, one of the conditions was his compensation from serving as the president would allow a mechanism for his masters to revert back to him. So let's just think of it, okay? We're talking about ownership here, right? And generally, most times, ownership is a good thing, is a way to go. But in all instances, ownership isn't like when I did the video talking about the pink sauce lady. What good is it having 100% of an idea or concept that you don't have the mechanism to market or make money? Hey, would you rather own 100% of nothing, or would you rather own 10 or 20% of a $10 billion business? We got to just kind of think of it and put it in that context. But if Jay Z was I'm a strictly an owner guy, I don't ever want to be employee, he would have never accepted a role as the president of Def Jam because he said, no, I want to be the president of my own label. But he had to serve as the president of Def Jam to be able to have leverage to put in his contract that, hey, I'll serve in this role only on the condition that, yo, salary, all of that stuff, but my masters come back to me after serving in this role and meeting certain conditions. So from an ownership standpoint, ownership 90% of the time, it's a great thing. But it can be overrated because you always have to think of things from a business perspective. It does you no good to own 100% of something that has no value. If we had to break it down in average folks talk, like I think this same concept would apply to, let's talk about everyday average folks. Let's say you have a family member who passes away, a grandmother, a grandfather, and they stay in Beulah, Arkansas. I don't even know if that's a place. I try to think of the countryest name I could find. They stay in Beulah, Arkansas. Now, you've been to Beulah once or twice in your life, but there's nobody down there. You don't know anybody down there. Most of your family who was down there and moved from down there. This is one of those instances where, is ownership overrated, or should we use it? Should we flip it into get something else? And we see this a lot of times in our community. If you get left an asset like a house, some people like, hey, if I leave my kids a house, do with it whatever you think is in the best interest of your family. If you want to keep it, keep it. If you want to sell it, sell it. I don't give a damn. I'm not here, right? But a lot of times people have these saying of, oh, I want to keep this house because this person worked so hard for it and I want to keep it. You never use the house. You stay 5 states away, so you can't go down and you don't have the resources to go down and make sure the house isn't falling in disrepair. I mean, it can just become really problematic. So in that situation, is the ownership of that house, that particular asset, actually in your best interest of moving forward financially to get something that you want? Like, yo, if you're not going down there, you can't make sure the property not falling off. You still paying taxes every year. Every year you don't take care of the damn property. The value of it's probably going down. You got to have somebody who's watching the property, because if not, someone could potentially take the legal right to your property by just squatting on it and possessing it adversely, unbeknownst to you. Like, it's a whole lot of risk that would come with that. But I think that's one of those examples that we would see in everyday life. So y'all let me know what y'all think. I think, hey, for Jay-Z, it makes sense never to sell his masters because he's just an icon. And 20 years from now, people gonna still be listening to Jay-Z. I mean, I'm gonna be 60 something, and I'm still I'm still gonna listen to it. I'll be like, Sean Carter was the shit. So I'm gonna still listen to it. But because he's an icon, I think his masters hold a little bit more weight. Somebody like a Future, like, it may be advantageous. The only hip hop artist who I could think of who monetarily, I don't know, even Eminem, it may be more favorable for him to sell his masters and publishing as opposed to holding on to it. I was going to say Eminem, but I don't know. Are people listening to Eminem 20 years from now? Like Dr. Dre, I think so. Snoop Dogg, I think so. Eminem 20 years from now, I don't know. People probably will, but Eminem isn't in that. Eminem and Snoop probably more so because he's a little bit more of a cultural icon, and he. All right, my bad. Technical struggle streaming, but Eminem hasn't really reached that status of mogul in hip hop to the point where I think that his music will be relevant 25 or 30 years from now. That's just my personal opinion. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that. All right, next, I want to turn the page to something. Which order do I want to do this? All right, I think we're gonna talk about $1,000 car payments, okay? Because this is ridiculous. I don't know if y'all seen the trend that was going on social media where everybody was asking, yo, what type of car you drive and what's your car payment? And so I got a video that I want to show y'all. And after the video, we're going to talk a little bit about it. I'm going to let y'all know what I consider, what I do over here at DFD's household with regard to the do's and don'ts of finances. And yo, y'all know I almost got caught up buying a Tesla that I wasn't ready to buy yet. So yeah, it happens to us all. We all fall susceptible to it. But we got to talk about these car payments because car payments is getting crazy as hell. I saw something out there where they were like the general rule if you had a car payment is your car payment should be no more than 10% of your take home pay every month. I mean, I don't know. I think that's kind of crazy. Like, I don't know. Like, hey, I've been doing this attorney thing for a while, so I'm no longer making $40,000 a year as an attorney. But damn, 10%, that's a little bit wild. So let's go ahead and check out this video. It's a video where they're going around a car dealership and they're asking, what is the highest payment that you've ever finessed somebody for? What's the highest payment that you ever finessed somebody for? Let's go ahead and check this out.
1250.
Hey Marcus, what was the highest car payment that you've seen a customer sign up on, and what kind of car was it?
Okay, it has to be like 1250. It was the
1250. That's crazy as hell.
Dang it, I forgot in my mind exactly. I can see it in my head and I can't remember what it is. Oh my god.
Hey Shane, what is the highest car payment that you've seen a customer sign on, and what kind of car was it?
Holy shit.
Oh, you know it's gonna be high.
I thought this guy did 26 on
2600.
what was it, like 3,500, around 3,500.
A pickup.
What's
truck.
the highest car payment that you've seen a customer sign up on, and what kind of car was it?
I was an electric car, right? It was 1,800, right? It was on that Ioniq 5, yeah.
Wow.
All right, real quick. These $2,600. Bro said he signed somebody up for $2,600 a month for a truck. Now, all right, let's put it in the context because there are some people out there, Matt being one of them. I can't. $2,600 a month? Nah, that's crazy. Like, yeah. Nah, I couldn't. Like, I'm thinking about it. I had to think about it. Y'all, if y'all been watching the channel for a long time, y'all know about what my budget is. Like $2,600 a month is something that could make, but I'm not paying that shit for no car. That's crazy. If your car payment is $2,600 a month, you probably got to tack on another $300, depending on where you at. It could be up to $500, depending where you at, for insurance on the car, depending on what type of vehicle it is. But there are some people out there who generally can afford these big ass car payments, right? But let's just be honest. Most people with large ass car payments aren't somebody who's making a shitload of money. It's people who are trying to get more car than what they need. So let's finish watching the rest of this video to see these astronomical, ridiculous prices, and we're gonna talk about it.
Hey Tomas, what is the highest car payment that you've seen a customer sign up on, and what kind of vehicle was it?
Well, you don't want to know the answer to that.
You don't want to know that answer.
I think it was Bentley with $20,000 down, and the payment was in the thousands. I don't remember, 4,000 or 5,000.
Or $5,000 a month for a Bentley. Damn.
Hey Victor, what's the highest car payment that you've seen a customer sign up on, and what kind of vehicle was it?
The highest payment was probably
$250.
no, it was like 1725. It was on the 22 Corvette Stingray, and he put like 10K down.
Hey Josh, what's the highest car payment that you've seen a customer sign up on, and what kind of vehicle was it?
I see a $1,600 payment on a 23 Ram TRX with $20,000 down.
Nice. Hey Francis, what is the biggest car payment that you've seen a customer sign up on, and what kind of vehicle was it?
Can it be someone that I know?
Sure.
$3,000, Audi R8.
$3,000. Hey Carlos, what is the highest payment that you've seen a customer sign up on, and what kind of vehicle was it?
I was right at 1,600, and it was a CL6.
A ZL6. Oh. And the highest car payment I personally have seen was $2,200 to $2,300 on a Ram TRX. He had a 400 score, and he put $30,000 down.
This dude had a 400 credit score, put 30,000 down on the car. Now let's just talk about it, because I like to think that, you know, I've seen other videos where they would ask like, "What's your car payment?" And I mean, these people were saying $1,800 a month, $2,200 a month. Which one? Both of them $3,000 a month. And I don't know what, like, I saw one with a general manager. I don't care about the general manager car because the general manager of a car dealership, I know one of my homeboys who I got my car from is a general manager of a couple car dealerships. Hey, he got that bag, okay? He got homes overseas. That's a whole different ball game. I'm talking about the person who's washing the damn vehicles. Like, yo, it's people really out here still getting finessed because they worried about the type of car that they're driving. So, I mean, and at the end, I'm gonna show y'all one more clip because I want to see and show y'all a prime reason why you generally probably shouldn't listen to people on YouTube. Even me, as I saying this, take it with a grain of salt. Take what I'm saying with a grain of salt too. Hey, there's no exception over here. I'm an equal opportunity type of guy, but it's just kind of crazy. And I've been there before. I had a car payment that was, I think when I had that long ass car payment, it was probably like, I only had one car payment where the payments was, it was maybe 60 months. Was it 48 or 60? It was something. It was long as shit. I feel like it was longer than a presidential term. So it maybe been 48, I don't know, 60, something like that. But I feel like it was longer than a presidential term, if I'm not mistaken. And that was the only time. That was the, yeah, I had a bunch of cars. I only had payments on really two of them. That one was the only one I had that was long as hell and extended. After that, the next one, I think I paid it off. Y'all saw that journey. Hell, if you watch this channel when I was paying off all this debt, I think I paid that one off in like 18 or 20 months or something to that effect. But there's so much more productive stuff that you can do with your finances. But a lot of people always say, well, we know cars are a bad idea because when you get it, as soon as you drive it off the lot, you lose money. But there's actually a little bit more to why cars are a really bad investment. Um, and I never thought about it this way until I was having a conversation with somebody, and I was like, "Oh, I never thought about it. What is the one depreciating asset that we all have? Everybody watching this video has this depreciating asset, and it's not a car, and it's not a car or clothes. What is one depreciating asset that we all have, and we've probably had it since we were 15 or 16? Anybody? No, we ain't got that. What is that one depreciating asset? Let me see. I would literally vomit if I. Yo, that's a $1,000 car payment. Is the my first house? I think my payment was like $800 a month. And hell, on the crib I got now, my payment is like 2250 or something like that. That's and that's not 10. That's less than 20%. It's less than 20% of my monthly take home. But a $1,000 car payment is freaking insane. But the one, and thanks for the comment, I appreciate that. But the one depreciating asset that we all have that's not a car is money. Money is a depreciating asset. If you had $1,000 today and went out and went to the grocery store and bought 20 items, then you took $1,000 this time next year and bought those same 20 items, you only gonna get 15 items because the value of money goes down. So money is a depreciating asset. So in addition to the fact that the car always loses value, the more you use it, the more value it loses. You take money that's a depreciating asset because the value of your money goes down every year, and you're buying a car that's a depreciating asset. But that interest rate you paying in between is all profit for the financial institution. So that's generally why cars are a bad idea. Now, I'm not one of those guys who were like, oh man, I'm all cash, all Dave Ramsey. I don't know what guy I am yet, honestly. Now that I think about it, I don't know what stage I am. I don't know if I'm a guy who's like, hey, I'm willing to get a car if I can pay it off in a certain amount of months, or I'm just going to stack up and get it cash. I don't really know what I'm going to do. It's going to be interesting to find out. But generally, you can do it one or two ways. You can cash out and just say, yo, I'm going to save up and just get what I can pay for cash, which is probably the best option. Another option that people use, and this one that I'm contemplating using, is 23/8, where you put 20% down, you finance it for no longer than 36 months, and it can't be more than 8% of your take-home pay. If you can follow those confines, you'll make sure you're not going too ballistic and wilding out. But let's just think about how people think when it comes to buying cars. Watch this clip because I saw this clip and I literally was like, "What?"
Okay, so what was the highest car payment that
Yeah,
you've seen a customer
let's
sign up
fast
on,
forward here.
and what kind of vehicle was
With
it?
Let's see where we at.
5.
Dollar payment on
Hey Francis, what is
Nat Francis.
a Ram TRX? He had a 400.
No, is it a separate video? I'm not about to cue it up because it's movie night. But essentially, I watched this video where this guy said, "Yo, if you're gonna buy a used car and you got $10,000, why put $10,000 down on a car when you can only put 500 if you got good credit? Put 500 down and you got 9,500 sitting in the bank to do something else with. Dude, you still got a car payment. You still owe the damn money. But people just really have a flawed logic. I tell y'all know. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, I had Tesla fever. I fucked up, pardon my language, when I went to go test drive it. I got rid of my S550 because I was tired of paying that much in gas and repairs. It was just insane. So I had this bright idea like, yo, if I got to pay for repairs and gas, I could rather not pay for gas. Like, yeah, it would cost me $1,000 to get everything set up at the crib so I could charge it at the house, but that's just a one-time thing. I looked at all the math. It was cheaper to charge, and I'm in a big city. It's charging stations all over the damn place. So I ended up catching Tesla fever to the point where for 72 hours, I was like, man, my wife don't know what she's talking about. I'm getting this car. I was making up excuses about how this Tesla Model X would be good to help my son when we had to move his ass to college. We could pack all this stuff in it, and how I deserve this. And like y'all know, in that video, I explained how my wife, she did something that I hate. She used my own words and logic against me. But I thought you said once we pay off these last bits of student loans, then we can figure out what we're going to do with the car, and each person can get whatever the hell they want. And I told y'all that pissed me off. Don't use what I said to rationalize and stop me from doing some stupid shit that I'm thinking about doing. But I know that she had my best interest. But we got to be real smart and strategic. And I'm going to be honest, I went out and bought a $6,000 car that I paid for in cash. And the more I drive that car, the more I like it. I was like, man, I don't got to worry about being in a parking lot. And if somebody hit it, I really don't give a shit. Also, instead of the $90 to $100 it was charging me to fill up my Mercedes, man, I can fill this SUV up, this small SUV up for like $40. The insurance, I'm saving it's something crazy. Like I'm saving like $600 a year in insurance, and I save probably $150 a month in gas alone. It didn't even get to repairs yet, but I'm sure the repairs are going to be way cheaper because the car old as fuck. But I'm sure the repairs are going to be way cheaper. Every time I took my Mercedes to the dealership, I would have to spend $2,000 to $3,000 just because it was something minor, but that was just the nature of the cost because it's a foreign car and they want to shaft you. Y'all know how that go. But $1,000 car payments is wild. Hey, I understand. I don't want a lot, but when I get a vehicle, I generally want what the hell I want. And my problem is if I want a Lexus, I want whatever the biggest and best one is. If I want a Mercedes, I don't want to see anything. I want a fucking S. If I want a Tesla, I don't want a 3. I want an X. That's just kind of how I am. It's probably a bad thing. I got like auto Napoleon syndrome or something. But once I got this cheap car that was $6,000, I paid for it and I was able to keep all over half of what I sold my Mercedes for stashed in the bank for whatever it is that I want to use it for. And the more I drive it, like I said, the more I drive it, the more comfortable I am with it, and the more I really don't give a damn. It looks fine, it drives fine, and like I said, if somebody hit it, I really don't give a shit. So these 1,000 car payments are just finessing people. You got to be a lot smarter. The name of the game for the American dream is how many months, years are you willing to sacrifice to struggle so you can have what the hell you want down the road? That's the name of the game to the American dream. People who really have a tough, and you got to define what your dream is. Okay, the American dream isn't what society tells us. We got to get a big ass house with a white picket fence. Nah, like no, that's American dream is what you decide your dream is. But you can't get it. In order to get there, you got to give up something. What have you ever gotten in life that you wanted that didn't cost you something? Everything. So, in order to achieve whatever you decide is the American dream, you have to realize and say, yo, I'm willing to give up something for 3 years, 4 years. I'm willing to give up something for 8 years, 10 years of sacrifice so I can live the next 20, 30 indefinite and just be comfortable and not be stressed out. I'm telling y'all don't know how comfortable it is and some of y'all do, but it is such a peace of mind to have comfort when you don't have to worry about money. Like I'm in the process of onboarding for a new job, but the current job I have right now is dope. I work from the house. I'm making way less than what I usually make and what I'm going to be making once I'm situated at the new gig. But I'm not tripping because we never stressed ourselves to live off of 90%, 100%. We generally lived off of about 65 to 70% of what our income was. So when I unemployed, I had to find something to do. I could find something that I can do just to bring some money in, just to make sure that I don't ever got to touch the emergency fund. Because I've been in a job loss before and not had an emergency fund, and that shit sucked. Okay, and you know what else would suck in my opinion? I don't know why I hate using my emergency fund, and it's there for emergencies, but I don't want to have to burn up my emergency fund. Then when I start my new full time gig, I have to start that from scratch. Like that would be a pain in the ass for me. So let's just think smart about the moves we're making. And like I said, car payments is one of the all-time finesses. You be like, I deserve this. You worried about how everybody think you're gonna look. You buy some big ass rims on the car that's fucking up the front end and the brake pads because it's too heavy for the damn car you got. So the name of the game is to be smart, sacrifice now so you can do what the hell you want to do later. Like, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I can remember all the people who I grew up with who laughed. Was like, oh man, you doing all that work, going to law school and working during the day and going to law school at night and all of that stuff. And hey man, come on, go with this. But most of those people, they gotta work a bunch of jobs. I work a bunch of jobs too. I told you I just started doing Instacart, but I do Instacart because I want to do Instacart. I'm not doing two jobs because I'm struggling just to take care of the bare minimums. So you got to be willing to put that sacrifice in. I'd rather sacrifice now as opposed to being sacrificing when I'm fucking 60, 70, standing in front of the Walmart checking receipts. If I'm checking receipts at Walmart, it's because I want to get my old ass out the house and I want to check receipts. All right. The last thing I wanted to talk about before we get out of here is interest rates in the Feds. Now, y'all saw that the Feds, they have their meetings every month, every couple of months, where they say, you know what? Are we going to raise interest rates or are we going to lower interest rates? So they had their meeting and the Fed said, you know what? We're going to stand fast on interest rates. We aren't going to raise interest rates. We're going to leave them the same. A quick recap, and y'all probably already know. C-19 happened. Everything got shut down. When everything got shut down, it essentially tied and put a chokehold on the economy. The economy slowed down. Well, why didn't we see the economic impacts, DFD? Because the Feds flooded a bunch of money in. Okay, travel shut down, people not going out, everybody in their house. The U.S. savings rate was high as it's ever been. Credit card debt was going down because people had their ass in the house. When you can't go nowhere, you will be like, man, my budget look a lot easier when nobody leave the house. That's why I love the wintertime because my wife and daughter can't go out as much. And they my number one and two culprits of budget buster. But that's a whole nother story. But the economy was tied down because they put a chokehold on movement because of COVID. Well, we didn't see it. The economy was booming. The stock market was okay because the Fed flooded a bunch of money in. When C-19 was over, things opened up. People had more money in their bank account. People debt was low, so they started spending. But the problem was inflation went up because one, we choked the economy up and tied things off. but the Fed flooded in a bunch of new money. So, in order to get inflation down, and I technically don't agree with this, but I'm not an economist. But in order to get inflation down, historically, the Feds would raise interest rates. I do think historically that's the way to get inflation down. But this inflation was created a lot different from any other inflation that we've seen because of C-19. So the jury is still out on me if raising interest rates is going to lower inflation because they've been raising and inflation's still up. So I don't know. It may be right, but that's just my assumption. I'm not an economist. Y'all do your own research and y'all let me know what y'all think. But there's some pros and cons to interest rates rising. Hey, when interest rates rise, you know what else goes up? The interest rates on your savings account. I think my savings account at Ally is almost at 5%. I get 5% interest on a savings account. That's like bonkers. Like, unless you got some trash bank like Bank of America or Wells Fargo. If you do, go find you a bank where you're getting 4.5%, 5% interest on your savings account. Is definitely smart. You find a credible one out there. I'm not giving no recommendations, but your boy used Ally. I had my money sitting in a bum ass account that wasn't making any interest, and I was like, "What am I doing?" I got a channel and I'm talking about finance and I'm talking about how I got out of debt and I'm doing the wrong thing with my emergency fund. So I had to stash it somewhere. So there are some benefits when the Feds raise interest rates, bond rates go up, the rates on savings accounts go up, and I'm gonna be honest. I only see inflation in two places. I see it. I put a short out about groceries, how I feel when I go grocery shopping. I see inflation in groceries and gas. I don't see inflation on credit card payments and car payments because I don't have them. I don't see inflation on my housing costs that going up because I'm fixed in at a mortgage. I think this year my mortgage went up $50. That's because my insurance and taxes went up slightly. Okay, so I'm kind of locked in. So I don't get beat the hell over the head with inflation because I'm not carrying a lot of variable rate debt that's going to go up as the Feds raise interest rates. Now, I wanted to give y'all a view on how this works. They're trying to curb inflation. At one point, inflation was what, 2.25%? Hey, your boy hopped on that refinance quick to get that 2.25%. But at one point, interest rates was 2.25%. They slowly increased it. So right now, what we're in is we're in the pivot that the Fed is going to make. They want to fight inflation, so they start increasing interest rates, increasing it, and now they was like, you know what, we're going to hold still. So they're right here at the top. Now it may go back up. They may decide to increase it next year if we don't see any reduction in inflation. But at some point, the Fed is going to have a pivot, and it's going to be from inflation and them interest rates going up. Then they're going to pivot and start to decrease things. You know why they're going to decrease it? I don't know if y'all saw this about a week ago, but hey, Congress got essentially a strong pact by who do you think? Home realtors and corporate investors who invest real estate and companies who sell real estate. They are begging Congress, like, yo, y'all got to lower interest rates because it's screwing over the housing market. Now, yeah, people are still buying houses, but not at the rate they were when interest rates were 2 and 3%. I mean, housing interest rates are at what, 30-year highs of 7.5, 8%. And you got people like me who like, yo, I look and I see the value of my house going up, and I'm like, man, I should sell it. But I'm not selling it because I know I'm not going to get anything remotely close to what I have now. So it's creating a lock on the housing market. So right now, the Fed is at the point where they're deciding if they're going to do a pivot and starting to lower interest rates. I personally don't see that. I think the interest rates probably going to go up a few more times before they actually pivot and start to lower rates down, because Janet Yellen has already said, and I did a video, a short on this, they want to get employment inflation to 2.2%. One of the ways that they can do that, because they blame inflation on salaries. We know inflation isn't from salaries, but they say, hey, salary levels are elevated. We got to get salary levels back down. Essentially, what they mean is they aren't happy that the job market is so damn hot. All these jobs that they created, they really don't want to create. because they want to lower the amount of jobs, because that'll cool off the amount of money that's in the marketplace, and in theory lower inflation. That's why, yo, you gotta have an emergency fund, because hell, even the feds want want to make sure that things get bad to lower inflation. But that pivot, I have no clue when it's going to happen. But I think interest rates are going to go up one or two, maybe three more times before the Fed completely turns and alter their direction and start lower interest rates, because we just aren't seeing the give in inflation where we can feel like things have cooled off. They want to get inflation to 2%. We wave the fuck from 2% right now. So the name of the game and how you can protect yourself and not get kicked in the ass no matter what inflation is take care of what's going on in your house. We don't give a damn about what's going on in the White House, okay? Because I think we all know that Congress is terrible with money. If I had a debt ceiling that I could raise to keep my credit score high, that would be great. But they ain't gonna give DFD no shit like that, okay? We don't have a debt ceiling that we can increase to keep my 700 A plus credit score. So the only thing that you can do is take care of what's within your four walls. And hey, if interest rates and inflation and all that shit go up, if you insulate yourself with good financial planning, you're gonna be in a position where, yo, you can eat. We aren't stressed thin. You're gonna complain about gas and groceries, but you're gonna complain about gas, groceries, and maybe housing if you aren't locked in to your a mortgage that's a fixed rate, or your contract for your rental is about to expire. You might complain about housing too, but you aren't getting kicked with those consumer debts for credit cards and variable rates for cars and loan sharks and all sorts of other crazy ass shit that people do to try to get money. Yo, that's it for this video. I think everybody home right now, and we about to go watch Five Nights at Freddy. I don't know. It looks like a horror movie, but it's some stupid shit that the kids have been watching since they was little. So we're gonna watch this movie. It's probably gonna be dumb and it's 21:17. I might not go to sleep. I don't know. This is a close call. If the movie trash, I might go to sleep. Yo, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you check out the video on the screen. There's going to be more content related to finances and attorney reactions. Y'all take care. Have a dope weekend. Peace.